Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Nous allons démarrer la seconde partie de cette conférence. Je me présente, je suis Emmanuelle Godmer, je suis directrice associée d'AIA Life Designer et je suis vice-présidente santé de la Fondation AIA. Je suis très heureuse d'être là ce matin et je remercie Donato et Lila pour tout le travail fait ensemble depuis la création de la Chaire, puisque AIA est partenaire de la Chaire depuis le départ. Vous dire peut-être 2 mots sur le pourquoi nous nous sommes engagés avec tant de force et tant d'engagement auprès de cette chaire sur l'architecture, la santé et le design. D'abord parce que chez AIA, on croit réellement que la recherche appuie la vision sur la santé et que cette vision, elle doit être bâtie et fondée sur l'évolution des usages en santé, que ce soit les pratiques médicales, que ce soit les pratiques managériales ou que ce soit la politique de santé. Donc on a l'habitude de dire que si nous faisons bien notre travail, à minima, nous n'empêchons pas l'évolutivité des sites hospitaliers, que ce soit dans leur environnement urbain ou les bâtiments eux-mêmes. Donc c'est vraiment les fondements de notre engagement. Et à l'ère où on va plutôt réhabiliter que construire, ce sujet de l'évolutivité et de la réversibilité est en partie un engagement très très fort pour les années à venir. Donc, pour cette deuxième partie de la conférence, nous avons 25 minutes de retard, donc on va essayer d'être concis. Nous avons la joie d'accueillir des architectes danois de l'agence 3XN qui vont nous présenter à la fois leur expérience, leur philosophie et leur approche dans le secteur de la santé, et puis nous présenter un très beau projet, je crois, que nous avons eu la chance de visiter il n'y a pas très longtemps lors d'un voyage d'études sur l'architecture et la santé au Danemark. Je vous laisse la parole. Alors je dis Stig pour pas écorcher votre nom, et puis Magdelis.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour à tous. Merci de nous avoir invités. Alors, moi, je vais commencer par vous parler un peu plus de 3XN et de JXN. Donc, on est un bureau... Bon, dans le mauvais sens. On est un bureau d'architectes danois. Donc ça, c'est notre agence à Copenhague, au bord de l'eau. Nos bureaux sont dans des anciens hangars à bateaux qu'on a rénovés. Notre maison mère est à Copenhague. On est à peu près 200 personnes réparties au Danemark, aux États-Unis, au Royaume-Uni et à Sydney. Et aussi, on a une toute petite agence à Stockholm. Ça, c'est un petit film, mais je ne suis pas sûre qu'on va le passer. Je vais passer sur l'autre. Donc, on est un collectif d'architectes. On a aussi une agence, au sein de notre agence, une unité de recherche qui travaille sur le comportement, tout ce qui est les stratégies d'innovation dans l'architecture, dans les matériaux, et aussi tout ce qui est développement durable. Donc sur des projets comme l'hôpital des enfants et la maternité, l'approche de JXN sur tout ce qui est le comportement ça a été aussi très, très important dans notre processus de design. Et dès le départ, surtout comment en fait, l'architecture peut influencer les comportements. Ça, c'est un projet, un petit peu notre approche avec ce projet pour le comité des Jeux Olympiques. C'est leur headquarter à Lausanne. Donc, on utilise vraiment, on a toujours une idée de départ du concept assez forte. Et après, on utilise tous les outils numériques à notre disposition pour développer notre concept. Et puis, on aime beaucoup les maquettes. On est aussi très encore avec les outils, on va dire, analogiques. Ce qui nous permet de développer sur nos bâtiments des aspects très techniques pour donner vie à nos façades, pour leur donner une caractéristique assez distincte. Vous verrez par la suite notre architecture et notre ADN est assez marqué, mais aussi pour développer des ambiances et des intérieurs dans nos bâtiments qui sont aussi iconiques. Donc voilà, là c'est l'escalier central du comité des Jeux Olympiques où on a voulu reprendre les différents anneaux et avoir cet élément-là. Un peu, voilà, nos bâtiments. Donc le premier, peut-être vous aurez l'occasion de le voir, c'est le Palais des Congrès à Nîmes, qu'on va livrer en septembre. Et après, voilà, un petit peu, voilà, comme je vous expliquais, nos façades, souvent, elles sont assez marquées et travaillées. Voilà, d'autres, un peu, ça, donc c'était plutôt du logement, et ici, c'est plutôt les projets culturels, accueillant du public, donc allant des musées au Sydney Fish Market que vous voyez par ici. Je parle un peu plus dans le métro. Et le Royal Arena, donc, qui est à Copenhague, un centre, on va dire, c'est sport et musique. Maintenant un peu plus sur ce qui nous réunit aujourd'hui, notre expérience sur la santé et les sciences de la vie. Donc voilà un petit peu des projets que nous faisons. Donc le Houston Tower for British Land, donc ça c'est une rénovation et ce sera surtout des labs. Ensuite vous avez le Cobalt Hub, pareil c'est des labs au Danemark qu'on livrera en 2024. De North Wing, une des parties, je suppose que certains d'entre vous ont pu voir à Copenhague, l'hôpital des enfants et la maternité, qu'on va développer un peu plus par la suite. Le PFL Ecotop, pareil, c'est plutôt des labs. Et ensuite, Force Karen, donc ça c'est un bâtiment, c'est un projet assez spécial. C'est pour l'hôpital Karolinska, en Suède, et en fait c'est un incubateur, accélérateur de start-up pour donc en synergie, enfin pour l'hôpital et pour voilà que l'hôpital puisse bénéficier de ces start-up et de leurs recherches. Voilà, là je vais laisser la parole à Stig qui va vous parler un peu plus du master plan que nous avons fait pour l'hôpital, et ensuite par la suite nous avons fait le North Wing et l'hôpital des enfants maternité, mais qui était séparé, un projet un peu séparé. Et Steve va continuer en anglais, mais je peux traduire si de temps en temps vous avez besoin, et puis à certains moments je résumerai sa présentation.
Oh, thanks. Unfortunately, I don't speak so well in French, so you would prefer me doing it in English. This is, we have done 3 related healthcare projects at 3XN. It's all on this same site. This is not how it looked before we started. That's how it looked in 1910. Then in the 70s, this brutalistic approach appeared with this big building here. And it could fit just right in the center of this park here, this very big building. And then all the patients could go from these small pavilions and into this very big structure. Then in 2012, we were so fortunate to win the North Wing, which is neurosurgery and ortho surgery for adults. And it was inaugurated in 2020, served as the first Corona hospital actually in Copenhagen. In 2016, we then were fortunate to win this competition for the Children's Hospital, which then was a hospital which is halfway funded by the Ole Kirk's Foundation. Ole Kirk is the funder of Lego, so it's a public-private partnership in that sense. And then the administration was sitting in this building, so that one had to go into this one. Today, you would probably have kept this, but back then, that transformational thing was not top of the agenda, so this part was demolished, so to give space for this new North Wing, which you see here. The North Wing, this is the children's, the administration, and then a patient hotel. It's if you don't need to be hospitalized, but need to be in proximity of care, proximity of blood samples, then the hospital offer a place for patients to stay in the meanwhile. And it's then together with the administration, actually one atrium is connecting it also to show that the administration is approachable. It's kind of these 2 buildings, one is rotated and then put on top of each other. But we have done these 2 main hospitals, they are a little bit the same size. They are both, of course, super rational, and they come out of an idea about logistics, both of them. But then again, we still do a lot to have a storytelling, have a narrative, have a strong identity towards the hospital. A lot of hospitals, not the one we've seen today, of course, but a lot of hospitals tend to be machines, tend to be very kind of not humane. And we think it's really important that the hospital also, in the first impression, seems to reflect these humans and those human values that they are all made to heal. We have the Children's Hospital, which is about these two hands, and then we have the zigzag of the North Wing. We have the GXN, as Magdelis told you about, which is our innovation department. They built on this kind of empiric knowledge and has supported us all the way through in all projects. Kind of. This is some diagrams which we lean towards, which is about the individual care in Denmark. All hospital rooms is individual rooms, so it's single rooms. All hospitals, it's all taken very well care of. On a children's hospital, of course, it is so important to have the social structure around the patient, that there's place for the families, the relatives, and also that when you are hospitalized for a longer time, that you can actually interact, that there's place, you are not in your room, but you have these zones, like in a home, like in a living room, that you can meet others, that you can play and gather around. And then that whole kind of overall vision for the hospital, that it's also reflected what is the identity, how do we actually reflect the values of the organization, which kind of hospital does this hospital wants to be, kind of, you could say. This one is more about the matter of needs. Of course, we care very much about daylight, good ventilation, all these kind of things, but the better hospitals we do, the more you can live there, the better you can maybe also heal. We heard about the thing about green, access to green and good views, and these things, so that you can heal better and better. And of course, the more you get, you get the ideal thing. We don't think we reach the ideal situation for a hospital, but the more rich the environment are, the more you can contribute to it, the better it is. This is the North Wing, which we got admission to put all the light on, not so sustainable, but for this picture, it doesn't never look like this. But this is kind of how it looks. It's a hospital which is on a pretty narrow site, and then every block is rotated, and then we connect it to all the clinical zones, can have a flexibility in between so that you can move and switch zones quite easily. We have day clinics in one end, and then they can switch into bedrooms, etc. And then it pushes down to meet streetscape, and then we have a central corridor going through that whole hospital to make it easy to pass through. Yeah, of course, when we did this children's hospital, what is that then? Because that was definitely not about doing very quick lines, doing very efficient hospitals. It was something completely different than doing the North Wing, which we had just done the concept, and it was about being inaugurated. And then we strive to what is it to make something that fits with kids. I don't know if you want to summarize a little in French in the meantime.
Oui. Alors, interlude en français. Du coup, on venait juste, on s'est vraiment occupé du master plan pour l'hôpital de Copenhague, où on a du coup livré un bâtiment pour les patients. Donc, c'est pas pour les patients qui sont à l'hôpital, mais c'est comme en fait peut-être je peux relever. Oui, parce que au Danemark, à un moment donné, ils ont pris le parti de regrouper tous les petits hôpitaux dans des gros hôpitaux. Donc en fait, ce bâtiment-là est fait pour pouvoir accueillir des personnes qui viennent de loin et qui ont besoin de traitement, mais qui n'ont pas de logement sur Copenhague. Donc c'est vraiment pour leur permettre de venir et de résider à côté de l'hôpital. On a aussi fait le North Wing, donc, qui est ce bâtiment un peu en cascade. Et on a commencé tous ces bâtiments, et puis on a eu l'hôpital pour enfants qui était vraiment différent, et on a voulu avoir une approche beaucoup plus différente. Puisque c'était pour les enfants, et c'était aussi un autre exercice pour 3XN de faire ce bâtiment de santé pour les enfants. Donc Steve a expliqué à peu près quelle a été notre approche pour ce bâtiment-là.
But before starting this project, it started in 2016. The hospital itself had done an amazing job in providing the right foundations for doing this competition. They had worked 3 to 4 years before, collecting knowledges, having workshops. As somebody heard when you went to Copenhagen, they even did take sleeps in beds and tried to be at hospital, tried to be hospitalized to get some kind of input towards this hospital. The concept is quite simple. There's 2 departments on each side. in these two hands. Then there's two central cores that takes you up in the hospital with quite close proximity around a shared atrium. Then when you get up to the bed wards, all the fingers spread out, and this is where we have 6 bed wards in each of these fingers. And then at the fingertips, not the nails, we were told that's not, we shouldn't mention the nails, but at the fingertips, we have winter gardens and all the outdoor amenities. You don't really use outdoor amenities unless they're in a very, very close proximity to where your bed ward is situated. So that's why they are all around the building. We have 22 of these. We got these 5 design principles from this big work. This was kind of the key summary, the pillars, the vision pillars from the hospital that was given to us. The thing about that we needed to have integrated play was key. It's something that they use to stimulate, of course, movement, but also to stimulate social interaction, to stimulate coping with what you have to get through, but also to socialize, and just to stimulate also in the imagination, so you keep on learning. And that sense, play is a very key factor for the hospital, and something they work also parallel with in the organization. And then there's this thing about that you are close to the caretakers, which are situated in the center, and it's of course all the same. It's kind of a very repetitive structure, and it's very aligned with the ideas from the very brief. It was funny when we did the competition. The third prize had 2 fingers. The second prize had 3 fingers, but we had 4 fingers in each hand. And then I don't know, that's why, but that kind of aligned with the brief. And then we have this travel, that it's a continuous travel. It's not a clinical area, and then you go to your zone. But that it's a very kind of tailored travel. And then, of course, key of all is that it's very functional, that it's working, that you have all the routes, of course, in place. That's key. We designed it kind of as a home. The thing, of course, a hospital is not a home, but this idea about diverse zones within the hospital is quite key. Then we have this one. This is then, of course, the hospital. You are in the center. You don't have any trespassers through the clinical zones. And then we have a center where you have all kind of kitchens and all these shared facilities located. So you're really not disturbed out here. So, but then if you want to interact, you can go to the center. And then again, this thing, you have that kind of close proximity when you are hospitalized to the caretakers. In terms of getting into the hospital, we wanted to create this thing where it's very kind of tactile, something that is soft, something that embraces you, so that you really feel welcome when you come to the hospital. The whole ground floor is open and approachable. Then we have, of course, concrete floor, but it is executed, the whole hospital, with these lamellas, both in this atrium you see, that connects the whole hospital together, and in the ceiling. This is the atrium where you have just a look down with the wooden lamellas. This is a movie. We need to see this movie. I'm sorry. This is the final movie. It's the final movie. But I'm very proud of this movie. It's from the structure. It's the building was started to be built 3 years ago. So now the whole building has been erected. The building has been closed, and now all the work inside is going on, adapting and so forth. This is from the atrium itself, where we had a drone flying, and then we tried to overlay a little bit with the fencing and the stairs. So this atrium is, of course, a little bit an expensive thing, but what ties the building together. And where the finger looks outwards, here you look inwards to yourself, and you can see down, and you get all these cross connections up and down. It's not a continuous thing because of the suicidal thing, so you cannot fall more than 2 floors down. So it's some quite small rooms when you go up and down through this atrium. But we really hope that this atrium will stimulate a lot of movement, a lot of excitement around this, for the patients who can, but also for the relatives, so that you are more that you're more likely to take the stairs than the lifts in the building. So that's the last movie, I promise you, not to do more kind of shifting. But this is from the raw house when you are at the ground floor. The hospital is this mother-child clinic, I don't know if you just want to go through the numbers in French.
Du coup, c'est un hôpital pour enfants et une maternité. Donc, il y a 176 lits pour enfants et adolescents. C'est pour les enfants et les adolescents jusqu'à 18 ans et pour les jeunes mamans. 43 chambres pour du coup les jeunes mamans. 15 salles d'opération, 14 salles de travail. Il y a 50 pré- et post-lits opératoires, 18... 18 lits ambulatoires pour les enfants et les adolescents, 57 chambres ambulatoires, 30 chambres ambulatoires pour les jeunes mamans et aussi une unité, un centre pour la médecine nucléaire. Donc, et là, Steve va aller par rapport au programme.
There is a critical core of functions around this yellow one, that's the operation. Then you have intensive care here together with stationary operation, and then Nico together with the maternity ward here. And then on top of that we have the cancer department and isolation sections, also intensive care units also. So we have this kind of critical core in the center. Above that we have more, so to speak, normal bed wards, and below we have the day clinics for kids at the ground floor, for young mothers or coming to be mothers on the first floor. The blue is research, and then we have imaging here, and then also some day clinics further on at the ground floor. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is the ground floor, this thing that you walk through. We have this river that runs through. We have two main accesses. You can access inside the hospital from west, and then access from east towards the city. So we have this thing running through, and then the day clinics for the kids and some training facilities here where they can use also the outdoor amenities, and a cafe that reaches out to this place that is the most sunny spot at the hospital. Then when you walk up, this atrium connects the whole thing. So this is the adult day clinic, imagery, and so forth. But as you can see, when we are lower, we need to have bigger spaces. So that's why we kind of tie some of the fingers together. This one is popular called the puppy head now, this triangular thing there. And then this is the imagery. And then when we get further up, we get up to this kind of fingerprint where we have the bed wards and the intensive care wards. And then as you can see here, there's some kitchen facilities. And then we have staff facilities within these corners, you know, where I get into each department. And then of course we have totally unified units out here. And we have this footprint here where you can see we have 6 bed wards in each finger. And then all of them have access to this outdoor amenity. It's actually now indoor, so it's a winter garden, so we can use it much longer. It's quite colder in Denmark, so we can use it a longer time in spring and in autumn. Each of these, this is also a movie, but that doesn't matter. Each of these has a zone outside, a little niche, as you can see here. Where you can sit, so it's kind of a thing that goes towards. It's connected to the bed ward. It's a gradient zone, so you can go out. You can take a difficult conversation. If your kids sleep, you can sit out there without disturbing. You can talk with the nurse, or if you dare, you as a patient can just go outside your room without going too far away. And if you are even more fresh, you can go to the winter garden. So we have these winter gardens, 22 of them. They are all double high, and some of them has then this. A few of them is actually triple high. Then they have a balcony inside, and this is for exercise. It's for remorse. It's just for social matters. It's for training, and it's also a place where we have art and, of course, a lot of play in these outdoor things, semi-outdoor things. In the beginning, we did have half of them outdoor, but we cannot have any green on this hospital due to the fungus that can happen within the earth. So no green, unfortunately, is allowed on this. There's experiments how to integrate green. It's something that is ongoing, and we hope that they'll succeed somehow to allow for some green in the hospital. Again, this niche on the bedward, and then the winter garden at the end of the corridor. And the bedward where we have the patient zone, then we have the family zone, the patient zone, and then the staff zone, and then here's that kind of look out, so that you also as a patient can look out. And this room facilitates that you can have this everyday situation. You can dine with your family. You can also put the table towards this bed. You can make an extra bed and sleep next to your relative inside this bed wall. This is a mock-up that the hospital has been doing of a fingertip, which is standing outside the main complex. This is the project chief from 3XN. She was project chief of the North Wing, and then she went to this one, so she hasn't been on the studio now for like 12 years. But we hope soon to get her back. And then we pulled back the technical ceiling so that we get this really, really high area around the family zone. And then, of course, it goes down on top of the patient. This is where you look out through one of the fingers. This is some clever engineers doing the concept for the ventilation in the concept phase. And then when it's built, it looks like this. This is from the BIM model. And I think what is the key thing about hospitals is how to integrate this. And that's, of course, why it takes a long time, why it engages so many people. How do we do this without, just doing machines and still having this kind of human approach, and do the hospitals not for the people, but not for the but with integrated technique and not opposite. I think that sometimes it's a balance. Of course, this drives so much economy. So of course, it's a big thing that needs to be taken care of, and of course has a big say in the shaping of hospitals. This is then with the electricity added on top, PVs, etc. Along the way, it has been taken very care of with mock-ups. This is from the early stage where we had this quite bright orange, which scared the client quite a lot. So we did some samples here, which did tone it slightly down. So now we are going for these colors up there. But there's really some benefits of doing these mock-ups to before you start to build the final thing. This is early morning with the blue light, and it turns a little rouge, whereas this is a morning with a lot of sun, so you get this orange really apparent in the building. It's a prefab structure, of course, of the facade, but it do have a lot of written to it that makes differentiation, so you can almost point to your own room and say, I'm up there, and it gives this kind of individually, and it adds scale towards the building. This is from the mock-up, where you can see how we experiment with wood inside, the materiality. This is this niche, which is outside every bedroom. It has shrunk a little bit since the first drawing you saw, but not too much. This is inside how it is today with the fingers and how they spread out towards the window gardens. This balcony inside, which is about to being, now it needs, of course, to be cladded. So, yeah, I think that's more or less it. This is from the render, from the competition, how it looks. And then this is how it looks today from the North Wing, when we are looking across down from a skater park that is just nearby, where one of our colleagues went with a newborn kid there, a rainy day. And this is a sunny day from the street, which is quite close. This is quite a busy street, so we work, of course, with some high isolation sound glass towards this side. So I don't know, I think that's it. It's almost half an hour.
Thanks a lot. Merci beaucoup. Alors forcément, ces projets scandinaves et danois en particulier, on les connaît bien et ils nous inspirent beaucoup, puisque vous avez une approche globale qui est très engagée, et ça se lit dans le cadre de ces regroupements hospitaliers qu'on a eu l'occasion d'étudier. Alors juste peut-être une petite chose, les ratios ne sont pas tout à fait les mêmes pour nos amis français qui sont amenés à concevoir et à programmer des hôpitaux. C'est vrai que vous avez une générosité dans les espaces et une générosité, je dirais, en termes d'investissement, de matériaux qui n'est pas comparable, et pour lequel malheureusement nous ne pouvons pas aller jusqu'où vous allez pour des raisons notamment financières. Mais ceci dit, l'approche globale et la philosophie est extrêmement inspirante. Merci beaucoup.